Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for Eve Echoes. Now, I've lived in Bulawayo for almost a year now, and I'd like to think that I know my way around the town fairly well, at least via the main roads. So this morning, after I dropped Carrie off at work, I decided I would continue driving in the car and just go and explore. I would try and take some of the little back roads and see where all of this goes. Maybe there's a more direct route from A to B than taking the overly circuitous main roads. Now, ultimately, I'm going to get out of the car now and hope there's no traffic coming. I managed to find some absolutely beautiful places around this town. So we've got some fantastic cacti and sort of the Metopus style rocks here behind me, which my wife is very keen on getting in the garden at some point too. I am going to stay in the car because I am on a technically main road. But there we go. I've gotten myself a little bit lost. So, fingers crossed, Google Maps can show me how I'm going to be getting back home, or rather where I need to go to run the errands that I've got to do this morning. But this felt fairly fitting as a time for me to sit down and talk about today's video. Yes, there is a tenuous link here. Today, with exploration on the horizon coming in June, I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the areas of Eve that you can actually explore and see. So we're going to have a look at nebulas. Now, for those of you who don't know, a nebula is an area of space. It's a celestial phenomena that is basically gas and dust in space, and these come in all kinds of various vibrant colours and lots of really quite cool looking ones. So I thought I would talk about my 5 favourite ones, and I've done this on the live server rather than on Fulmination. On Fulmination I could just type in an 8-digit code for each system, jump to it and showcase it that way, but I thought it'd be more fun to undock my probe Covert Ops and actually go manually exploring and showcase these places on live, just to, you know, have a bit of fun and sort of invoke the spirit of Cartier Say, who you need to look up if you don't know who that name is, and I will put links in the description below. Anyway, if you do enjoy this video, it's a little bit different to usual, so if you do enjoy this video, please let me know by hitting like on it. Definitely comment and let me know your thoughts and opinions on this. If you've got a particular nebula or an area that you want me to talk about in Eve as well, let me know in the comments. If you think this is the kind of videos you'd like to see more of, let me know. If you want to support this channel as well, you can do so by subscribing, by making sure you ding the notification bell so that you don't miss a video, and we have a Redbubble merchandise store and a Patreon page. In the Redbubble merchandise store, you can get things like the Cat Skull Academy t-shirt that I'm wearing today. We don't sell the hat yet, though. I am working on maybe trying to get an actual Captain Benzie hat into the store, because I love this hat and I don't care what anyone says. I embarrass my niece by wearing it around town and going shopping in it from time to time too. Anyway, with all that said and done, I'm going to leave you guys with today's video, and I'm going to try and figure out a way to get back from here. Good luck! First up then, we have the Genunga Gap. Yes, that's what it's really called, a black hole visible from Minmatar space. Now, general placing seems to suggest that this is actually fairly close to the Kalevala Expanse, which is an area of the Dronelands, and we'll come back to that more in just a moment. Obviously, Genunga Gap, like many other Minmatar words, is derived from ancient real-world Norse, and was the primordial void in Norse mythology from which all life in the universe sprang. Now, the Dronelands themselves, as I said, the Genunga Gap is supposed to be somewhere around the Dronelands region, about the Kalevala Expanse. Now, the Dronelands were an area of space that were originally explored in YC-88 by the Gallente Federation. They tried to open some stargates and colonize it all, despite the Ulai Conventions, which basically stopped any of the empires from opening stargates without the unanimous consent of other empires. Unfortunately, things went drastically wrong for the Gallente. Many of their drones went berserk, killed hundreds of explorers. The whole thing was known as the Spectrum Breach Incident, and at that point, Concord stepped in. Well, the Gallente went crying to Concord with their tail between their legs, begged them for help. Concord then helped close down those stargates and seal off the drone regions. Now, hopefully there will be a point where we do get those drone regions added to Eve Echoes, but until then, as you're flying through space, you can turn your camera to look and see the Genunga Gap in the distance and dream of getting closer to a primordial void black hole. Cloud Ring has long been one of my favourite Nebulian regions in New Eden. I love the way it looks, I really like the backstory to it, and actually when Eve Echoes launched, we considered it as the region that we may settle and start off in with the Catskill Cartel before eventually we decided that no, we would go to the Minmatar Galactic Southeast instead, and we're very happy down here. Anyway, interesting thing about Cloud Ring as well is that it's not just a nebulae that's in a skybox. A lot of the nebulae in EVE Online and EVE Echoes are just sort of distant things that you can see as you navigate space. Cloud Ring is notable as you can see it as you approach it, but when you enter Cloud Ring as a region, if you turn your camera around, you'll realise that you are actually inside one of those central constellations in the centre of that ring of dust and gas. Now apparently that ring of dust and gas was expelled from an ancient stellar catastrophe of colossal proportions, and according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to New Eden, Cloud Ring was named by noted Intaki astronomer Al-Nadil Juba. He was the first scientist to observe and detail the phenomenon from observatories in the Placid region, and he went on to theorise that analysis of the ring's extent, density and rate of expansion could give us an insight as to what monumental event could have caused such a disturbance and when it may have occurred. He then further theorised that such an explosion might have had far-reaching gravitic effects that could destabilise wormholes, and therefore may have been a contributing factor into the collapse of the Eve Gate. Now, while later researchers have discounted many of his ideas, the validity of his theories has yet to be categorically disproven. It's also noteworthy to mention that the Sisters of Eve maintain several bases in Placid from which scientific expeditions to study the Cloud Ring are coordinated. Cloud Ring isn't only beautiful, it's a key region to Eve's lore. The Cauldron is certainly one of the most beautiful and visually distinct nebulae in New Eden. It's got this sort of acidic yellowy green cloud around the outside with a vibrant electric blue centre. You can see how it earned the name, the Cauldron. Now, despite how distinctive and beautiful it is, it doesn't actually appear to have any form of significance, which is made even stranger by the fact that it's one of the few nebulae that are actually given their own exclusive name, in this case obviously, the Cauldron. It doesn't appear to have any religious significance to the Amar, and it appears to just be a typical nebula, you know, your typical cloud of dust and gas in space. I suppose there are probably some in the Amar Empire that point to it and say, look, this is a sign that we are God's chosen people because we have the most beautiful skybox in the game. It's a fact that I'm a little bit bitter about as a Minmatar pilot, that the Amar Empire does happen to get one of the prettiest skyboxes in New Eden, but hey, there we go. There may not be much lore and information about the Cauldron itself, but there is a lot of lore and information regarding the region that it's visible from, Khor-Azor. Now, Khor-Azor is of course home to the Khor-Azor family, which are one of the Amarian heir families that vie for power over the Empire. During the time that Dorium Khor-Azor controlled the region, it became a prosperous and thriving centre of interstellar trade, with its planets and cities flourishing. The whole area went into a state of shock, however, following the beloved Emperor's assassination, and despite many attempts at rekindling the economic prosperity, the spirit of the region and its people still mourn the loss of one of their greatest leaders. It's also the site of some of the most brutal and bloody battles against the Minmatar Republic back in the Imperium Age when they were trying to fight for their freedom. Other than that though, not much information about the Cauldron is known. As another one of the nebulae that is actually given its own unique name, the Vapor Sea is found within Stain, and it's also known as the Crib of Stars. It's a melding pot of gaseous clouds where new stars are being born. Now, although new stars and solar systems are still millions of years away, the area is of great interest to scientists, and the lack of gravity wells makes it impossible to create stargates anywhere near the area. The Vapor Sea is mainly visible from Stain, which you should know is the centre of Sanchez Nation. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sanchez Nation are the group of pirates that were originally run by a guy called Sasha Kuvake, who envisioned a bright, shining future in which 5% of his population was cybernetically enhanced and to the elite status, whereas the other 95% used that same cybernetic implantation to turn themselves into essentially brainwashed cyber zombies and would be slaves to the rest of the Empire.
Now, this was an idea and a vision so utterly abhorrent to the four empires, the Amar, the Caldari, the Gallente, and the Minmatar, that they actually put aside all of their problems for a brief period of time, long enough for them to sail collectively into Stain and kick the ever-living snot out of Sancho Kuvake and his entire nation. And it was assumed that that was it, that's it done, job well done, everyone gets a pat on the back, until several years later, almost a century later, they started to come back. Before in YC 108, about 8 years before the events of Eve Echoes, Sancho's nation actually started to raid into Amar space, and certainly into Minmatar space to a certain degree as well. Yeah, so Sancho's nation are kind of back, and the Vapor Sea, this is an area that is very important to scientists, but it's now locked away behind a region of space patrolled by some of the universe's most terrifying pirates. Well worth flying out there to have a look, just do keep your wits about you. It is a very popular area of nullsec, and there's a lot of pirates in Stain. Scalding Pass is my absolute favourite nebula in the entirety of New Eden, and like Cloud Ring, it is one that you can actually sail through. If you do decide to go exploring, please be extra careful. Of course, Scalding Pass, the Great Wildlands, Innsmother, Wicked Creek, these are very active areas of nullsec, not just because of the Pan-Gen versus Void war that's currently going on, but just in general, this has always been a home to pirates, and it's kind of clear to see why. Scalding Pass itself is a vast stellar nursery, the birthplace of stars, kind of like the Vapor Sea. It's a harsh and unforgiving region of space, home to violent ion storms and rocked by intense solar winds. The pass is littered with the wrecks of ships that were blindsided by the unpredictable dangers this region holds. And again, that's just the celestial dangers, not to include pirates and roaming caravans. However, there are some who manage to find solace and safety in such a tumultuous place. The Angel Cartel, for example, is rumoured to have many outlying bases in the region, masked by stellar phenomena. And in recent times, many Capsuleer groups have braved its burning embrace in pursuit of the dark dreams of power. Yes, Void is one of those. We have friends in Scalding Pass. Obviously, we base out of Innsmother, but it is an area that we travel through an awful lot. Certainly in EVE Online as well. I used to personally base in Eggbinger, which is right on the gate into Scalding Pass, and had a lot of fun flying around Scalding Pass as a lower nullsec pirate. I adore this area. I just love the look of the nebula, the fact that it's got this massive, vibrant white glowing. It is a centre. It's a humongous nebula that just, to me, looks really, really cool, and as you fly through it, it's just a really cool skybox, which for nullsec doesn't often get these exciting skyboxes, so it's nice when you go through an area and it becomes so visually distinct that you can see it from a distance. Immensity is another one of these, which I could have added to this list. It could have been number 6 or something like that, because again, it is a very visually distinctive area to fly through. Anyway, that brings us to the end of my list. I'm sure that you guys have your own lists of places that you think are cooler than this. You might disagree with the order I've put mine in. Let me know in the comment section down below. With exploration on the horizon, I'd love to do more videos like this where I actually get to fly around and showcase these different regions of space and talk about all the kind of exciting bits of lore and backstory available in New Eden. If you do like this video, therefore, if that's a topic that you're interested in, please do let me know by hitting like on this video and commenting in the comment section. It would really help me out. And certainly, if you're into this kind of thing as well, this week we do still have our giveaway going. 2 of you can win a month of Combo Omega each. I just want to see your favourite skybox, your favourite planet, your favourite asteroid, anything celestial. Take a screenshot of it, shove it in the Cat Skull Cartel Discord, link is in the description down below, and 2 of you will be picked next Monday to win a month of Combo Omega. Good luck, folks. Thank you for watching this one right the way to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!